Welcome to NEXTGames' Intense Ambuscade series, July 2025, against Yagudo. Now, this is one of my favorite Ambuscade months, as well-geared solo players can pull off relatively easy, difficult wins, and some have even reported very difficult wins with some jobs that can sleep the enemies. Now today, I'll be showing you my difficult win with my well-geared ninja. Now this won't be possible for everyone, of course, but fear not. If you aren't well-geared, as I was able to pull off a normal win very easily, wearing only Ambuscade gear and weapons, not using any gear swaps, add-ons, or plugins. Now both of these wins take about 10 to 12 minutes, so it does take a little longer than most months, but the rewards are of course far greater. Now if you play with parties, you can also get very quick and easy wins on very difficult this month, so it's a great month all around. Let's first start with key item acquisition. Here you'll need one Yagudo kill for your first run of the day, and multiple experience yielding Yagudo kills for multiple runs in the same day. To get these, I suggest using Survival Guide Warp to Marif Mountains in the past, as you see me doing here, for quick kills nearby. Now, onto the run itself, which will be against a number of Yagudo. Now, the main one is the Bozetto Conjurer, who is a summoner and who will summon Garuda to assist them. Now this is the main NM that needs to be killed for the win, but as long as any enemies are alive, it's going to have a physical and magical shield up that prevents any damage from being done. So to bring down this shield, you need to kill all the other adds, including the summoned Garuda. Now before you can contend with her though, you want to deal with the other Yagudo on the battlefield. On the normal difficulty and below, there's only going to be 3 others. A Bozetto Stormbringer, who is a black mage, a Bozetto Lyricist, who is a bard, and a Bozetto Swordsman, who is a samurai. Now on difficult, they're going to add in a brawler, who's a monk, and on very difficult, they're going to add in a shinobi, who is a ninja. Now while the health of these enemies is fairly low, they do all have access to their SP abilities, so be careful. Now a sub job is not capable of sleeping or silencing these enemies, but full jobs are capable of it, so if you have the ability to, make sure you sleep or silence these enemies while you kill them to make your life easier. This is especially useful when using party strategies. Now, the recommended kill order is Stormbringer, Lyricist, Swordsman, Brawler, Shinobi, then Garuda, and then finish with the boss. Now if your setup is unable to sleep or silence the enemies, then the most challenging part of this fight is going to be right at the start, where you need to manage hate on all of the adds while trying to take a minimal amount of damage, while still trying to get your own damage in so that you can actually cut down on the numbers of things taking you on. Keep in mind, this means that the enemy you're currently fighting will normally be in the middle of using their SP ability, which will also further complicate things. So if you're soloing, bring a lot of healing to compensate for all this. Now the Black Mage should go down relatively quickly right at the start. Go slow at first to allow your trust time to buff you and keep your shadows up to try and maintain some hate at the start of the run. Once hate is established, start getting in damage, and once the Black Mage uses their SP ability of Mana Font, don't bother recasting your shadows anymore, because most of the castings are going to be Gauss spells and just wipe them immediately anyway. Instead, focus on getting your damage in and hopefully finishing off the fight before the SP ability is over. Now once the Black Mage is down, switch to the Bard, which should actually go down relatively easy by comparison. Once the Bard is down, switch to the Swordsman. Now the Swordsman SP ability hasn't proven to be overly dangerous, but do be careful as you will still have a number of enemies on you when you're fighting him. Once the Swordsman is down, switch to the Monk if you're on the difficult difficulties, or to Garuda if you're on the normal and below difficulties. Now the Monk's SP ability can be particularly nasty, so save some of your best defensive abilities for this point in the fight if you are tanking, and if possible, enfeeble the Monk before use of the SP ability. Now the Monk also guards and counters a lot, which can both slow down your fight and deal a good amount of damage to you, so keep your shadows up as much as you can, and hopefully the healing will keep coming in and keep you alive through those phases where you take spikes of damage. Now if you're on very difficult, then you need to take on the Shinobi next, who will use Mijin Galkri and possibly kill everyone in range. White Mage's Sacrosanctity has proven enough to prevent deaths most of the time from what I hear, so be sure to take advantage of that or some other damage mitigation method when fighting the ninja. Now this brings us to Garuda, who in my experience is hard to deal good damage to in any form, so taking her down will be a bit longer than the other Yagudo took. Now once Garuda is down, you must be quick and start blitzing all of your damage on the Conjurer. This is because you will only have a short time before the Conjurer summons Garuda again. Once Garuda appears, you will again be unable to deal any meaningful damage to the boss. This forces you to switch back to her and take the time to kill her once again. This process will repeat as many times as necessary to kill a conjurer. Now normally, it's taking me between 3 and 4 kills of Garuda depending on the difficulty and the gearing level I'm at to get rid of all of the boss's health. So try to get 25 to 33% taken away each time and stay on pace with that. Now once you get to the Garuda part, the rest of the fight is actually quite easy and you will only take small amounts of damage from an AoE ability called Kamatachi. However, this will change if the boss is allowed to use Howl before the ability, and the ability's damage will then spike up substantially and normally one-shot everyone in range. For this reason, you must have a way to dispel the boss or you are risking your run ending at any moment. Now in all of my fights, I sub Red Mage so that I can dispel the boss if Warcry is used. Note that Arcelia is also a very good trust at dispelling it, but not perfect, so that's why I bring my own dispel as a backup just in case. Now if you're in a party, then you will want to dedicate people to spamming dispel on the boss as the group zergs him so that he doesn't get in a quick Warcry Kamatachi combination and kill the group. Really, that's all there is to it this month. Now if you're solo, trust selection is going to be very important, and you want to emphasize healing for that initial phase of the fight. Now in my difficult battle example, I'm using Joaquin and Koromoru for haste cap, Arcelia for curing and dispel, and Monburo and Yoranoran for more curing. Now in my normal battle example, I'm using Archivi to tank, Omiya and Koromoru to haste cap, and Arcelia to dispel, as well as cure alongside Yoranoran. Now this combo I have found works very well, but other combinations that include solid healing really should work well this month. Now keep in mind that just because you're seeing me beating this on normal difficulty, doesn't mean you should step right into that if you're just returning to the game. Try this same strategy on the very easy difficulty this month and see how it goes for you. If it goes well, feel free to step up to easy, and so on until you get to a point that you think is the difficulty level you should be at. Now if you're in a party this month, most strategies involve sleeping all the enemies at the start and taking them out 1 or 2 at a time in the order I've already gone over. Be sure to silence the Bard and the Black Mage, and dispel that boss, and it should be some quick wins this month. I'm hearing reported wins in the 3 to 5 minute range. Also don't forget to bring along some form of damage mitigation for the ninja. That's about all I have to go over for this month's run. Enjoy the 2 lengthy battle examples and have a great month everyone.